What was, if Jesus existed, what was his message? His message wasn't believe in him. His message wasn't follow me. His message wasn't you are sinners and therefore you need to be saved. His message was quite straight, quite clear-cut. His message was and is a very strong, radical statement, a very offensive statement. I mean, let's face it, what was his purpose? His purpose wasn't to upset people. His purpose was not to upset society, although it did, because his message was very offensive. His message was very straight and clear. Basically, he was saying, every male is a bastard and every female is a bitch. Strong words. Consider this. Do you consider yourself, I'm talking to the males, a bastard? And you females, do you consider yourself a bitch? Consider what bitchiness women are and do, and what bastards men are. He may not have used those two words, but that's what he was saying. The churches, the councils, the authorities, society, they all make out that he was some kind of angel on earth, some kind of an embracement, loving you as you are. He was a crazy man. He stood alone. He saw the ridiculousness of society. He was radical. You have to be radical and you have to be crazy to stand apart, to do things that people would be offended by. He was saying basically, the human race is utterly crazy. The way we behave is fearful. He noticed that every individual feared one another, that every individual was always looking over their shoulder, wondering what the other person is thinking and saying and doing. He noticed that every person was emotionally blackmailing the other. He noticed that no one was living in a truly human, free, way of life. He noticed that everyone's way of life was totally selfish. All about me against you. He noticed that everyone was manipulative and everyone was strategically doing their utmost to get their own way. He noticed there was no peace. He noticed that every man was against their fellow man. He noticed that everyone was at war with one another. Can you not see that's true, and it's still true today as it was then? Can you see what you get up to in your conniving little ways? Can you see that you are not standing alone with great strength and great courage and great assertion and great confidence? Can you see that you aren't functioning easily and effortlessly? Can you see that? Can you see that you live in fear? Fear what the other person's going to say or do? Do you see that you are always comparing? Do you see as a so-called adult, you're very childish and adolescent? Jesus saw clearly the ridiculousness of the emperor's new clothes. He was the child in the crowd saying, "Ha ha, the emperor's naked." Can you see in your life that you are really lonely, looking for others to make you happy, looking for others and things to make you happy? Can you see that if you don't hold on to some scaffolding, your objects and your things and your desires, that you will not survive? Can you see that your life is full of anxiety, always looking over the shoulder? Said that one already. Jesus didn't come here to pat you on the head, say, "Good boy, good girl, just behave yourself and you'll be in heaven when you die." No, he was telling you to kick up your behind, to take responsibility for your bodily feelings and thoughts. He was asking you to leave all of that behind and stop identifying with it. He was asking you to be reborn of the Spirit. My teacher, Adidar Samraj, who I came across 30 or 35 years ago, here's a picture of him, basically said, you can either live like a clenched fist or an open hand. A clenched fist is a feeling of tension and stress within the body-mind, in there and in here. And that tension he would call the self-contraction. And he would say you don't need to do that self-contraction. And that's what Jesus was saying, maybe not in so many words. He was saying, stop living. No, he would say, stop doing whatever you're doing in your body and mind. That's creating a life of strife and anguish. Stop doing it. And he would say, love me instead. Me being a disposition represented by the open hand. Stop inflicting upon the body-mind an unnecessary contraction. Because it's this contraction that is at the root of all discontent, of all ill at easeness, restlessness, tension. Is that the root, is the root cause of continuous unhappiness, looking to be happy, looking to be made happy, being stimulated. It's not necessary, because just as the heart, just as the lungs, just as the kidneys and the brain and the nose and the mouth and the ears, just as they are all functioning as they ought, the feet, the hands, all the organs, if they're not interfered with, they can do what they should do. The body, mind as a whole should be able to be full of life and happiness and joy, full of creativity. And then the body, mind becomes, which it should be, a vessel for that high power, which you might call God, to live through you. So your hands become God's hands. Your eyes become God's eyes. Your speech is always speech of gratefulness, gratitude, thankfulness. And your hands become servants for one another. That's Jesus' message. Basically, forget yourself. Stop being a bastard. Stop being a bitch. Stop doing all that nonsense. You don't need to do it. But the only way out, he said, was to love this disposition, this God disposition, this happiness with a capital H, which is always already the case. All that nonsense going on in your head all the time. Chitty, 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 chatty, chatty, chitty, chatty, chitty, chatty, chitty, chatty. It's utter nonsense. You don't need to do it. That was his message. Stop doing it. Be cleansed. Be purified. That's his message. And then you'll see that Jesus or Christ is a disposition, not a person. Represented by the open hand. Very simple, nothing complicated. All these academics and intellectuals just something for them to do. Historians, they haven't realized the truth. The truth is that the body-mind, if it's not interfered with, is already happy, joy, delight, intimacy, intimate. That's what God is. That's what Jesus asked us to become. Jesus said, I am at one with God. He was the living state of God. Stop being a fool. And stop being a wise man, as he said. They're the last people to enter the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is simply this state, this disposition of joy, delight, happiness. So turn away from this nonsense. Forget about it. Replace it with this heart attractiveness. In my case, be attracted to the disposition of Adidal Samraj. Be in Holy Communion. For the clothes to be washed clean, you need to put clothes into water with soap. The clothes have to become wet. Well, the body-mind requires this purification of all of its dross. And it's in this divine communion that one is washed clean. The Spirit washes one clean. Find this out for yourself. Take responsibility. Change your destiny. The egoic destiny takes you away from being one's true state, which is God. Realize this and be happy, wherever you are, under all circumstances. None of us belong to anybody. And none of us have anything. We don't own anything. We don't belong to anyone. Find this out. It's a radical understanding. Inherent in the body-mind. It's not knowledge that you pick up from books. It's inherent. It's already the knowledge of the body and mind. It's esoteric, hidden from this disposition. It can only be revealed when in this disposition. Surrender all of this nonsense. Thank you for listening and hear what I have to say and live a life radically different to the one you're living right now. Da.